I'd also like to welcome the Charge d'Affaires of the United States government, Virginia Palmer, and also the Consul General Erica Banks and other members of the US government and USAID delegation, and representatives of our other funders, Michael O'Brien, who's the Senior Vice President of Programs for Atlantic Philanthropies, and other colleagues, and Bernadette Moffat, the Executive Director, and other board members of the Elmer Philanthropies Services Africa, as well as my colleague, Dr. Mvuyo Tom, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Fort Hare, representing one of our academic partners, Professor Bill Shaw from the Harvard School of Public Health, and Professor Tyrone Pretorius, the Senior Vice Principal of the University of Pretoria. We also have in the audience a number of other dignitaries, and I recognize many, but Professor Sam Mochkong, the President of the Health Professions Council of South Africa, is one of them, amongst a number of other esteemed colleagues that are here. And we also have a number of members of our steering committee of the Albertina Sisulu Executive Leadership Program in Health. And maybe the two that I'm most proud to welcome today are Tumi and Duma Sisulu, grandchildren of Albertina Sisulu, after whom this program is named. And we are most really honored and appreciative of the Sisulu family for being willing to allow us to put such an esteemed name that has so much depth and meaning to our program. And to say, for me personally, going back through into the 1980s, one has many memories and many moments that helped form and shape how one developed. And one of those that remains so imprinted on my mind when I was very honored in the 1980s to be invited as a co-speaker and to share the platform with Ma Albertina Sisulu at a meeting focusing on the impact of apartheid on health and what needed to be done to change the health profile and the health system to serve all the people in our country. And I have such a profound memory of the extraordinary passion with which she spoke about health and the commitment to change the health services. That sort of moment, if you like, in those difficult days when I think I wasn't supposed to actually be in Soweto, has really stayed with me. And so for me, at the personal level, it's just such an extraordinary privilege to be involved in a program that carries the name of such an icon, and I hope that we'll be able to stand up to the excellence and the depth of commitment that she depicts. And so I'd like to invite Tumi Sisulu as a representative of the Sisulu family to address us.
Morning, everyone. As Professor Buch said, I'm Tumi Sisulu. I'm one of Walter and Albertina Sisulu's 27 grandchildren. I'm honored to be here today to represent my family at the launch of the Albertina Sisulu Executive Leadership Program in Health. Minister Motsoaledi, Deputy Minister Ramakgopa, Director General Mototso, distinguished guests, thank you for being here today. Nonsikilelo Albertina Sisulu, wife of ANC stalwart Walter Sisulu, was a leader and activist in her own right. She was a mother, a sister, a friend, and a dedicated nurse. While our grandfather, Utata Mkhulu, was in prison, for 26 years, Gogo remained steadfast. A working mother, raising and educating 5 children, she held the family together, all the while remaining committed to the struggle against apartheid. Even as she balanced all these roles, to us, her grandchildren, she was always simply Gogo. Gogo is not just a great grandmother and a great mother to our family, she was a mother to her nation. She felt a deep responsibility to create a better future for its children. Gogo embraced the many challenges that were part of being Walter Sisulu's wife and a freedom fighter in her own right. She never lost sight of the vision of a free and democratic South Africa that she knew would come despite the enormous personal sacrifices she and her family and so many others endured. Although I was too young to have any real recollections of Gogo during the years of her activism, through the memories and stories of our family, somehow I feel that I knew her even back then. In my mind, I can see Gogo in her nursing uniform working with patients and colleagues, or striding defiantly as she marched with her fellow activists, or holding herself together, pained as she left her children for another stretch of detention. Over the years, house arrest, exile, and detention became common features of the family's life. Yet somehow, Gogo held the family together, even in her absence. When Antinkuli, the youngest of Gogo and Tatamkulu's children, was only 10 months old, Gogo was uprooted from her home once again. She was detained for 3 weeks and unable to see or contact her family for the duration of her detention. This was just one instance among many that Gogo and her children would endure. Yet, through it all, her spirit was never broken, her resolve never waned, and her passion never diminished. Instead, Gogo always saw the bigger picture. Commenting on this particular experience, she said, "I didn't mind that because it was part of the struggle." Reflecting on the hardships of political life, Gogo remarked, "Although politics has given me a rough life, there is absolutely nothing I regret about what I have been through and what I have done, and what has happened to me and my family throughout all these years. Instead, I have been strengthened and feel more of a woman than I would otherwise have felt in my life if my life was different." When my family was asked to join in the building of the Albertina Sisulu Executive Leadership Program in Health, we could think of no better legacy. We are humbled by the opportunity to be part of this remarkable program and honored that it bears our mother and grandmother, Albertina Sisulu's name. It's truly gratifying to see Gogo's memory honored in such a fitting manner. A commitment to equality, health, equal opportunity, and education was her life's work. As Ms. Marian Jacobs aptly noted in the first meeting of the steering committee last year, all of those involved with this program come together not only as colleagues and experts in their fields, but more importantly, as a group of people passionately committed to the transformation of the South African health system. This commitment is clearly demonstrated by the robust, dynamic, and passionate dialogue that takes place in the steering committee meetings. The level of engagement and debate is truly inspiring. As a family, we are proud to endorse this program that will train the future managers of South Africa's healthcare system as they strive to meet the needs of those most disadvantaged among us. We know that Gogo would have wholeheartedly embraced this program, not only for its academic merit, but also because she would have known that a quality healthcare system is the foundation from which we will build the dream of a new South Africa. Thank you again for being here today and for honoring our grandmother.
Thanks very much for those really deep and touching words. And I'm sure my colleague, Professor Marian Jacobs, will be very pleased to know that people really listen and remember her inputs. They're always so profound. But our next speaker at the launch is again a colleague that I go back a long way with, and is the co-director with myself of the program, Dr. Mvuyo Tom, but he'll be involved a bit later as a personal member involved as part of the academic staff of the program. But at this moment, he's actually speaking in his capacity as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Fort Hare as one of our partners.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Professor Buch. You have assisted us greatly by acknowledging everybody who's here. So in the interest of time, I will acknowledge the Honorable Minister of Health and, of course, the representative from the Embassy of the United States of America. Otherwise, all protocol observed. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Tumi, thank you for the thoughtful and inspiring words about your grandmother. We are very grateful that you and Duma, as members of ASELPH Steering Committee, will help us ensure that her legacy is indeed preserved. I'm doing two things here, speaking on behalf of the university and also introducing the program, because there's people here who are not familiar with the program. It won't be long, though, I promise you, not more than 5 minutes. Those of us who had the privilege of working with your grandmother know what an honor it is to have the program named after her. Throughout her lifetime, Masi Sulu exemplified a dedication to her family, as already indicated by you, her profession, the community, and the nation. She exemplified the principles we are seeking to ingrain in the ASELPH program. The acronym is ASELPH, Albertina Sisulu Executive Leadership Program in Health. So when I say ASELPH, just understand that's what I mean. Whether as a professional nurse, a community representative, a revolutionary icon, a public representative, she knew that health is not just the absence of disease, but the total well-being of the person. And it is an honor, indeed, to serve the people to the fullest. Future health leaders must embrace the ideal that it is a privilege to serve, and with that privilege comes responsibility. My task today is to give you a brief overview of the Albertina Sisulu Executive Leadership Program in Health. First, ASELPH is a partnership between the University of Fort Hare, the University of Pretoria, Harvard University, and the Department of Health. We also have the South Africa partners. It is run in collaboration with the National Department of Health. Working in partnership with the Department of Health, ASELPH is a transformational program that will not only train current health managers in South Africa, but perhaps even more importantly, it will develop a pipeline for future generations of senior health managers and leaders. That will lead transformation and innovation for generations to come. ASELPH has been developed with the financial support from philanthropies, the Atlantic Philanthropies, Elma Philanthropies, and the United States Aid, USAID. Over the next 4 years, the partners will build capacity at the University of Pretoria and the University of Fort Hare to offer executive-level training using the Harvard case study method. The introduction of this pedagogical approach within schools of public health has enormous potential for academic institutions in South Africa. Another unique feature of this program is that it is also grounded in the broader strategic thinking of the National Department of Health around workforce development. Through policy seminars and roundtables, ASELPH is identifying the current and future challenges that health leaders must address, and then incorporating transformation strategies to meet those challenges. Whilst it is the University of Pretoria and the University of Fort Hare that were identified by the Department of Health to lead this program, it is our long-term view and goal to share the lessons learned from the ASELPH program with our colleagues around the country that offer training for health managers. As indicated by the department's active involvement, we lead this work now, but the benefits must be felt throughout the whole system. To ensure this happens, ASELPH is working closely with the planned National Academy for Health Management and Leadership. Even with the gains of the past 19 years and a high concentration of dedicated and accomplished staff members, the National Department of Health has identified daunting human resources challenges that impede progress in achieving health and health system transformation goals. Those that are most relevant to the ASELPH program are the following challenges. Firstly, limited capacity to translate and implement important and far-reaching policy initiatives into efficient, well-run programs. Secondly, insufficient innovation and low morale in the health system. Thirdly, critical weaknesses in the middle and senior management and serious shortfalls in executive leadership and management skills. And fourthly, chronically overstretched senior leadership with a limited pipeline of capacitated senior executive. And lastly, insufficient capacity for executive management and leadership training in health, as well as weaknesses in management know-how in policy implementation. ASELPH specifically aims to strengthen 3 key components of health transformation in South Africa. First one, service delivery improvements that target the management and leadership capability of current and emerging managers at executive level, at district level, within the South African public health system, and those managers at provincial and national level responsible for district health services. Secondly, ASELPH aims to support the operationalization of key department strategic objectives, specifically the National Health Insurance, the re-engineering of primary health care services through the district health system, and the National Strategic Plan for HIV and AIDS, STIs, and TB. The courses developed by ASELPH will prioritize these strategic objectives and seek to equip those district, provincial, and national managers responsible for their successful implementation. Through the process of tracking and evaluation, we will continuously improve the course offerings to better meet this goal. Lastly, excellence in executive level training through an intensive scale up of the University of Pretoria and University of Fort Hare's ability to set standards, deliver courses, and improve pedagogical approaches that will help meet the country's long-term goal of highly trained and effective managers for senior health managers that are capable of successfully addressing key challenges at all levels of service delivery within the country. Our goals are ambitious, but they are critical if we are to meet the goals that the country has set for itself. ASELPH will offer training through a number of certificate and diploma programs currently under development. Several courses have been developed already, including one based on a World Bank course and adapted specifically for use in South Africa, which focuses on key strategies needed for the National Health Insurance Initiative. At the first offering of the course, participants responded very positively to the content and the approach. One participant said of his experience, and I quote, "This has been an eye-opener and very useful in unlocking difficult situations in my district," close quote. Another participant pointed to how learning from the course has stimulated the need to develop a project management approach to get quick wins that will break through challenges in the province. Ultimately, we want to offer long-term diploma courses for emerging and senior health leaders. Towards this end, in September, ASELPH will induct the first cohort of executive fellows that will complete a one-year diploma program in health management. We recognize that this is a very ambitious program, and to ensure we are continually learning and incorporating new strategies into our approach, ASELPH has adopted a robust monitoring and evaluation system that will ensure the program is continually learning. Like our namesake, Albertina Sisulu, ASELPH understands that as we solve current challenges, new ones will continuously be emerging. Therefore, our goal must be to design a program today that will have the ability to evolve and adapt to meet the challenges of tomorrow. The University of Fort Hare is proud to be associated with this program, with developing its own public health division in the university. We hope this program will add value to that program and ensure that we deliver in the needs of the people of South Africa. Thank you very much.
I was about to say thanks, Mvuyo, but I think in a meeting or function of this nature, I should say thanks to Dr. Tom, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Fort Hare, for introducing our program to you on behalf of the 5 partners, all of whom I've welcomed except for South African partners, which has emerged as a development support agency for the country out of the old anti-apartheid movement in Boston, and is the one partner who I hadn't welcomed, including Mary Teseo, the Executive Director, and members of her board. So our next speaker, just to say a few words on behalf of the University of Pretoria, is Professor Tyrone Pretorius, the Senior Vice Principal.
When I was a young student, I had this professor who made a great show of putting on his glasses, and it impressed me very much, and I thought it was quite cool. These days that I'm in the brille and pillar stage of my life, I certainly don't think it's cool. Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Motsoaledi, Deputy Minister Dr. Ramagopa, Charge d'Affaires of the United States Government, Ms. Palmer, Dr. Tom, Vice-Chancellor of the University, other honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends. I represent the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Pretoria, Professor De La Rey, who due to council commitments could not be here today, but she sends her apologies and she asks you not to draw any inferences on her not being present here today. I'm fairly new at the University of Pretoria. In fact, this is my second week. But the Vice-Chancellor briefed me yesterday and impressed upon me the essential message that I need to convey, namely that the University of Pretoria is absolutely proud to be a partner in the Albertina Sisulu Executive Leadership Program in Health. For many reasons, this partnership exemplifies the university's commitment to improving the health of our nation and our health services by utilizing the core mandate of a university, namely education. In addition, as the university repositions itself, both nationally and internationally, we are extremely pleased at the partnership nature of this program. Increasingly, we believe that the many challenges, not only of our nation, but of our world, can only be addressed through meaningful partnerships. It is a huge honor and a privilege for the university to be entrusted with such a responsibility, but the university executive and the Faculty of Health Sciences wish to publicly state that we will remain committed to this responsibility and this partnership. Strengthening and revitalizing health services is a huge undertaking and a challenge. One day, a horse rider riding on the beach saw a sparrow lying on its back with its legs in the air. And the horse rider asked the sparrow, "What are you trying to do?" And the sparrow said, "I heard the heavens were going to fall today, so I'm trying to prevent that from happening." And the horse rider laughed and said, "With your spindly legs, do you really think you can keep the heavens from falling?" And the sparrow said, "One does what one can." The University of Pretoria undertakes to do what it can in revitalizing our health systems. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Professor Pretorius. Professor Bill Shao is the Katie Lee Professor of Economics in the Department of Health and Population at the Harvard School of Public Health. But many of us will know him as one of the doyens in the fields of health systems and health economics, and so it's a particular privilege to have him here today representing Harvard University.
Good morning. You are the distinguished leaders in medicine, health, as well as to your communities, in the rural communities. I know a number of you come representing the rural health here. And I want to extend my greeting to the minister. I had the privilege to meet when he came and helped Harvard University to inaugurate the first ministerial leadership forum. And he was really respected by 16 other current serving ministers, and they all want to learn what he planned to do for South Africa as well as for the world. I'm honored and privileged to be here today to represent Harvard University, and I want to express our pleasure as well as the privilege that to be a partner during this critical period when South Africa intends to transform its healthcare system with the National Health Insurance Program. That program is really a visionary program, and the world is looking at what South Africa would do, and you may be the vanguard for other middle and low-income countries. And I think I will particularly commend what the minister said yesterday at the Parliament, because I think he emphasized that South Africa intends to give priority to prevention and primary care. Then when you accomplish that, you will actually be ahead of advanced economies, including United States, Canada, Germany, so on and so forth. And we will be looking to you to actually lead the way for other nations. So to accomplish that, we realize that South Africa will need leaders, other leaders, to support the minister and your top leaders, director general, deputy ministers, and so forth. And that's the intent of this program, to create really a team of leaders at the national level, provincial level, and the district level. So we are honored to be a part of that, a partner in it, and we will do our best, not only with commitment. Harvard University will do it with passion to be a partner in this endeavor. And I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity for the Harvard University to do that, because we believe we can learn as much as from you, rather than we only bring our limited knowledge or the newest teaching methods, the innovative methods like using internet to do education. We'll bring whatever we know here, but we also believe we are good students. We'll be students here too. Thank you.
Thanks, Professor Shao. For a program as ambitious as this, where what we are trying to do, amongst other things, is to build unique and specific executive leadership training for the health sector in the country, takes some funding. And we're very appreciative of our three funders who have been willing to take the plunge and to support a program of this nature. And Bernadette Moffat is the director of the Elmer South Africa Foundation, and she'll say a few words. I just want to emphasize that we didn't leave Atlantic Philanthropies off the program. They were quite happy to have one representative of the foundations speaking at the launch.
Honourable Minister, Deputy Minister, and all protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen, I am absolutely honoured to be here to represent the private philanthropies that are supporting these partners and the Ministry of Health in this important endeavour. As we embark on this major effort to transform our health system, we know that the real challenge will lie in having senior leaders who are empowered to translate policy into effective and efficient delivery of health services. This is where we, as South Africans, have sometimes fallen down. We know, however, that it is possible to implement rapid and effective change. Just look at the remarkable efforts since World AIDS Day 2009, testing and treating an unprecedented number of people, curbing vertical transmission, and extending the life expectancy of South Africans. This has shown what is possible when the goal is clear and everyone is pointing in the same direction. In order to effectively transform our health system, to ensure health for all, we will need the same level of effort and focus and determination to sustain the major shifts in how we deliver health services as a country. For health system reform to be effective, South Africa needs public health leaders with the capacity to lead change and a sense of mission to be accountable to the people they serve. Whether as the CEO of a hospital or leader of a district that is charged with piloting NHI, senior leaders need broader perspectives on challenges and opportunities for health system strengthening and reform. We need to know what has and has not worked in similar settings or other countries, and they need to be able to apply these lessons to the dynamic environments in which we find ourselves. These leaders need to be sensitive and have insight into the unique leadership and management challenges that we face in South Africa. And the leaders need to be trained as executives with core leadership skills to be able to analyze, negotiate, persuade, and inspire, and to manage effectively while identifying and acting on opportunities to innovate and respond to the challenges before they become crises. In order to train leaders at this level, we need academic institutions able to make a sustained contribution towards developing senior leaders who can improve health delivery. As the ALMA South Africa Foundation, we are working to build African capacity by supporting and developing local institutions to improve health and education. In this effort, we have had the privilege of partnering with other private foundations such as the Atlantic Philanthropies, and we were delighted when a few years ago they approached us with this opportunity to collaborate. And so we are very pleased that after several years of talking about this, we finally are here today, not just launching something that is still in planning, but launching something that has already taken off. Our universities are often a starting point as we plan improvements in human resources for development. And this partnership promises to build sustainability at the University of Fort Hare and the University of Pretoria. The Albertina Sisulu Executive Leadership Program represents an effective partnership model between universities, the National Department of Health, the Harvard School of Public Health, and South African partners, for ensuring that South African universities are able to support policy development and planning for health system transformation, while building human resource capacity to lead reform efforts. We are equally excited about the funding partnerships that we've developed with bilateral agencies such as USAID. Atlantic Philanthropies, USAID, and ALMA represent public and private funders using their respective strengths to support efforts of government to implement change. Finally, we honor and remain guided by the contributions of Ma Albertina Sisulu, who dedicated her life to building the health and well-being of all South Africans. And we are really honored to be a part of this effort. Thank you.
And we're particularly honored that the Charge d'Affaires of the United States government, Virginia Palmer, is here personally today. We see that as a singular honor to have you.
Good morning, everyone. Professor, it is I who is honored to be here amongst so many doctors and educators doing such important work. And in that spirit, I will do as Dr. Tom did and acknowledge the presence of Minister Motsoaledi, the Deputy Minister, and the DG, and then please allow me to say all protocols observed. There's a minister in Pretoria who says, I will protocol you when I observe you, which I also like. But Minister Motsoaledi, I should say at the top that you're a personal hero of mine, in fact, because I think the work that you have done and are doing on HIV/AIDS and on health system strengthening will be quite a legacy. And I think getting the health challenges in this country right are fundamental to South Africa's continued role as a model for the rest of the world for democratic leadership and transformation. And I'm also honored to be in the presence of representatives of the Sisulu family and to hear personally how appropriate this program is as a legacy for my Sisulu. This is also a wonderful model of public-private partnership. So there are a lot of things that I'd like to talk about, and I'll try to be brief. And I'll also try to situate this a little bit in terms of the rest of our President's Emergency Program for AIDS Relief, or PEPFAR as we now just call it. PEPFAR is committed to public-private partnerships such as this globally, and we're very proud to be associated with the ASELPH Public-Private Partnership. There are 19 of these partnerships worldwide. The steering committee for ASELPH is made up of the best minds in health management policy in South Africa, but also worldwide, globally. We contribute about $3 million, or 27 million rand, to this program. And we're pleased to be able to make this contribution, but I also want to highlight that the majority of the funding comes from the National Department of Health and from other partners like Atlantic Philanthropies and the ALMA Foundation. And Bernadette, I'm glad to see you here. ALMA Foundation is also a partner of USAID in our education programs, and we value that partnership very much. The cooperation of multiple universities, the National Department of Health, USAID, PEPFAR, and other funders is a significant collaborative effort. Everyone participating should be proud of the success and that partnership. ASELPH will prepare managers, and Dr. Tom talked about this, to make more efficient use of existing resources. It will give them keys to unlock the roadblocks that separate struggling segments of the health sector from successful ones and put them on a path to improved health outcomes. And as responsibility for care and treatment program transitions from the PEPFAR programs to the South African government's direct control over the next 5 years, the success of programs like ASELPH will be pivotal in guaranteeing that the health system is functioning effectively and efficiently. That's where I kind of want to contextualize what's happening. To date, the U.S. government has provided almost $4 billion, about 30 billion rand, to help the people of South Africa combat HIV and AIDS and TB. And in August of last year, Minister Motsoaledi and Ambassador Gips signed a partnership framework implementation plan that provides a roadmap for the transition of the PEPFAR program from an emergency initiative to a sustainable long-term program. The joint plan lays out how the transition of care and treatment programs will be integrated into the South African primary health care system, and as Dr. Shao discussed, and how that will be managed in order to preserve quality of care, maximize efficiency in the use of resources, and strengthen the overall human and institutional capacity of the South African community health systems. PEPFAR and the U.S. government will continue to support South Africa in this work, but will focus after the 5-year transition primarily in prevention, research, and support for orphans and vulnerable children. So this program is particularly important to health system strengthening and to that transition. We're committed to an approach that strengthens the systems to address roadblocks and obstacles in order to increase the efficiency of healthcare delivery. The health system strengthening portfolio of USAID is about $25 million a year. The portfolio addresses human resource needs, including training new healthcare workers and supply chain strengthening, so procurement, things like that. This health system strengthening means that HIV patients will get the right drugs on time, and it strengthens the public financial management so that clinics and facilities have the right resources. All of this will be done with the ultimate goal of improving access to HIV services for those who need them. Again, it's an honor to be amongst you this morning, and congratulations on the launch. Thank you very much.
You know, with the extraordinary punishing programs of the Minister, the Deputy Minister, and the Director General, you know both how important a program is to them when all three of them are in the same room at the same time, and it's really a singular honor for us today to have all three of the leaders of the health system in the country in the same room with us. Dr. Gwen Ramakgopa is, as the Deputy Minister of Health, in her own right, has been an exceptional leader in health in the country. And over many years, we've spoken about the critical need to enhance executive leadership capability in the health sector. And so, Dr. Ramakgopa, I hope as we invite you to introduce the Minister, that you will get a singular pleasure also from seeing a program like this launched. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Buch. The Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences and in the University of Pretoria, and my mentor in public health and then my inspiration in public health. He's the one that invited me first to work in the Department of Health of Gauteng when I was just coming out of the IDT environment, and I worked very well with him and learned that public health is important in the way we run our health services. Thank you very much, Professor Buch. Dr. Tom, as the Vice Chancellor of University of Fort Hare, and thank you for being co-directors for this program. To me and the family of Sisulu, we're honored to have you. The Minister of Health, Dr. Mzwaledi, and the DG, Mematsoso, and the rest of the family of Health, Department of Health. Charge d'Affaires, a woman with very great energy, a lot of energy and passion as well, Miss Virginia Palmer. Professor Tyrone Pretorius, Senior Vice Chancellor and Principal of UP. I was just whispering to the Minister that every time we go to the health sector to deal with challenges, it's not only the Dean of the Faculty of Sciences that are there. The UP seems to be taking us seriously. It's a Vice Chancellor. Thank you very much for honoring us. Professor Chow from Harvard University. Thank you. And the philanthropists that are here, for the Atlantic Philanthropies, the Elmer Foundation. It is really my pleasure and privilege, ladies and gentlemen, to present to you one of the South African leaders that I think every South African is very proud of. I was just thinking, how am I going to do this? Because his CV is on the internet and anyone can Google it. So, and I recall that my daughter, who was just graduated in visual communications, used to show me her books. And some of the theories that she was studying about was amputation of a human being. That cars amputates our legs, and also that, so I realized that the internet has amputated my intellect. And I can't tell lies about who the minister is. But I thought that I must approach it from a different perspective. that besides his illustrious history as a leader of the students, also at some stage being the president of ASASO, which was the student movement, anti-apartheid student movement, and subsequently being MEC, I think one of the longest MECs in the Limpopo government in, I think, two is important for the health sector in particular, two important departments, agriculture and education. What I've learned to know Minister Motsoaledi to be is that it's someone who listens and has empathy and a very deep sense of justice and fairness. And that he is also very analytic. He doesn't take decisions easily. He's goal-orientated. You can ask those that he consulted before 2009, before the new approach to combating HIV/AIDS was adopted. And many said to him, "Are you not launching the president? You know, South Africa has never tested more than 2 million people in a year, and you say you want to test more than 10 million. Is that not over-ambitious?" But because of that, he also is able to know what is mediocre. He knew it would not work if it was business as usual. So he's someone who's goal-orientated, and whatever it takes to achieve that goal, if it needs to be done, he's the man to be trusted to do it. But I also found that he's evidence-based. He can quote off his head lots of studies and their relevance or otherwise to what we do in our country. I can just maybe lastly say that he believes in progress and excellence. But there's just one virtue before you come forth, Minister, that I want to share with you. And I think South Africa and the world needs a lot of people with that virtue. And I'm very privileged that one of my mothers, Me Albertina Sisulu, it's also my mother, you know, has been honored today. And I believe that it is quite appropriate, because this is a value that is shared, as I've also come to experience, between Mema Sisulu and Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. And that is what I would refer to as fortitude. And I've used the good, reliable Google to check what fortitude means. And they define fortitude as the strength of mind that enables a person to encounter danger or bear pain or adversity with courage. And it's also the cardinal value that allows one to overcome fear and remain steady in one's will in the face of obstacle. And they say it is not reasoned, it's reasonable. It's not courage for courage's sake, it's courage for an objective. I'm really privileged to have been mentored on one hand by Me Albertina Sisulu in FETRO and other structures on one hand, and on the other hand to work with the men of the statue of Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. Please come and address us.
Program Director, Professor Eric Buch, Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences at the University of Pretoria and co-director of ASELPH, my colleague, the Deputy Minister of Health, Dr. Gwen Ramokgopa, thank you very much for your kind and very warm words of introduction. The American Church Affairs, Miss Virginia Palmer, the Vice Chancellor of University of Fort Hare, Dr. Mvuyo Tom, and the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Tyrone Pretorius of the University of Pretoria, the Sisulu family, represented here by Dumi and Duma, the grandchildren of our icon, representative of the Elma Foundation and Atlantic Philanthropist, Director General of Health, May Precious Mazuso, our distinguished partners and the organizers of this launch, distinguished guests and participants of this policy seminar, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you. Today, I have the honor to officiate in the launch of the Albertina Sisulu Executive Leadership Program in Health, or ASELPH, and the policy seminar on national health insurance that will follow later. And I'm particularly delighted to see such a diverse representation at this auspicious occasion. The launch of the Albertina Sisulu Executive Leadership Program in Health marks the culmination of a milestone in the capacity development of human resources for health, geared towards the implementation of the national health insurance to introduce a universal health care coverage for all South Africans. This program is highly significant for overall improvement of performance of the national health system. Today we pay tribute to a stalwart in the struggle, the late Mama Albertina Sisulu, after whom this program is named, for the relentless toil and commitment she applied in her nursing career, for which today we are all beneficiaries. And we want to thank the Sisulu family for their approval to allow us to use the name. Today, we are better human beings because of the commitment of people like Mama Albertina Sisulu. We feel we are now South Africans. We are no longer strangers in the land of our birth. The Albertina Sisulu Executive Leadership Program in Health specifically aims to strengthen health transformation in South Africa through increasing the health system's human resource capacity to deliver high quality, cost-effective services through strengthened executive level training of health leaders and managers. The program is a partnership amongst the universities of Pretoria, University of Fort Hare, and Harvard University in the United States of America, as well as South African partners and non-governmental organizations in collaboration with the National Department of Health. I'm glad to announce that the program is funded by the National Department of Health, the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, the Elma Philanthropist and Atlantic Philanthropist, who are represented here today and who have demonstrated their resolve to fund this program to assist the Department of Health to generate the required leadership capacity for effective and efficient delivery of health services. This program will focus on the training of district and hospital managers and their teams, who will play a vital role in the implementation of the NHI through the realization of the district health authorities, which will work very different from what we know today or from what we have today. As the NHI process is gaining momentum, the Albertina Sisulu Executive Leadership Program in Health has been working with the National Department of Health to engage with senior managers at national, provincial, and district level to prepare them with the required leadership and management skills needed to play a central role in the implementation of NHI. The program will, through a combination of strategies, strengthen 3 key components of the health transformation in South Africa. The first one is targeted training of executives, district and hospital managers responsible for various levels of service related to the NHI. The second is the management capability of current and emerging district health related leadership within the public health system responsible for the implementation of NHI and the re-engineering of the primary health care system. The third is advancing a sustainable, relevant education and training capacity for health executives responsible for the management of large public health programs such as HIV and AIDS and TB. I regard today as a day on which a dream is coming true, at least the secret dream I've been harboring. I don't know, Dr. Buch, whether you may realize just how momentous this occasion is for me. I was appointed Minister of Health in May 2009. When I arrived in the department that very first week, extremely orientated and worried, because the first group of people I thought about was the march against the department by TAC and all the health activists and all that. I was imagining exactly how I'm going to handle that. But when I arrived in the department, there was a workshop of the top management at Beachwood Hotel, and I had to go there and meet them and address them and introduce myself as a person who has been deployed to come and work with them. In that meeting, I asked them if they can appoint people immediately amongst themselves who must go and train and prepare for NHI. But I actually didn't know what I was talking about. I just know that I suspect there's some training that is needed for this thing which is NHI. So when they asked me who must go where and train in what, I couldn't answer, but I just know that there must be training about NHI and it must be done by these members. That worry never stopped there, Professor Ishawa. When I was in Harvard, actually, I pushed it again because I was very anxious, actually, about this whole issue of NHI and skills. So because in April last year, the government of Mexico had organized an NHI summit in Mexico, which was attended by the Director General of the World Organization, Dr. Margaret Chan. And we're listening to Mexico because we want to learn from each other. They've got already established an NHI in Mexico, as you know, which they call Seguro Popular. So I wanted to learn from them. And I asked them if I can send people there for training, for NHI. And so they gave me an ear in the Department of Health to explain exactly what I'm looking for. I just said training for NHI. And they wanted details so that they can start the training. I must tell you, I couldn't. Then when we went to Harvard, Professor Ishao, I then said, because the Dean of Harvard School of Public Health, Professor Julio Frank, is the one who studied this Seguro Popular in Mexico, is now in Harvard. I then said he must help. And then I sat with him again to try and find out in which areas do we want the training. And I must tell you again, I just couldn't explain. I just said training about NHI. Now I can see here that for the first time somebody is trying to outline it to me, that there is an institution that can actually do that and start building up the momentum and start having people in that area of training. So it is a dream come true. And I'm happy that at long last it is happening. The late Deputy Minister, Molefisi Fularo, who passed on 3 years ago, used to take this also as a pet subject for himself. When are we establishing an area for training? When are we establishing an area for training? And I was very happy that when Gwen came in, she also had a passion about this issue of establishing an academy. And I'm sure we'll all be working together to make sure that this dream come true. The program will be guided by a steering committee chaired by the Deputy Director General for Academic Health Service Complexes and Human Resources at the National Department of Health. It will include representatives of the national and provincial health departments, independent health leadership experts from private sector and parastatals, representatives from the 3 primary funders, and representatives from the Sisulu family. And I can see they've given you very young, energetic Sisulus here, who I believe will be very determined to protect the family name by making sure that this becomes successful. This partnership arrangement will be sealed by a memorandum of understanding between ASELPH and the Sisulu family. One of the unique features of this program will be a focus on experiential adult and engaged learning pedagogical strategies, which will include the case teaching as a methodology, expertise which Harvard University will bring to the fore, undergirded by e-learning education approaches to ensure sustained and continuous learning during non-contact sessions. Other unique features of the program include policy seminars and policy roundtables during which key policy debates on the NHI will be facilitated, as will happen after this launch day, at which the world-renowned health economist, who we have already spoken about, Professor Bill Shaw from Harvard University, will lead the discussion. In so doing, opportunities are provided to engage with the leadership in the health sector in South Africa, to stimulate rigorous debate on leadership issues in relation to the NHI, and provides for deeper analysis of the impact that NHI will bring to our communities and to the broader South African public. The program will not only include short courses in academic discipline, such as health policy transformation, health leadership, organizational strategy, and financial management, but it will also launch an executive emerging fellow program through which managers with talent in the health sector will be identified jointly by the leadership of Provincial Department of Health, ASELPH, and will receive appropriate training to preferably in time to assume leadership positions in the public service. All such executive emerging fellows will be enrolled in a diploma in health service management with a focus on executive leadership. It is with deepest pride and greatest pleasure that we announce today that the first intake of managers to benefit from this prestigious academic program will commence in August 2013 at the University of Pretoria, followed by the University of Fort Hare. The other hallmark of this program is faculty development for both Universities of Pretoria and Fort Hare, which includes training at Harvard University, to ensure that a cadre of academics begin to build the foundation for excellence in teaching on the NHI subjects areas and create the platform from which not only ongoing action and applied research will be conducted in response to the research questions which arise at the workplace, but will also lead to evidence-based leadership and management decision being taken by those in leadership. Professor Pretorius, I need to take this opportunity to thank your university. You have already helped us in these leadership programs. A year ago, the DG, the Director General of the Department of Health, Mayor Precious Matsoso, went out to look for the people we call unemployed graduate. I hate that term very much, but unfortunately it does exist. To call somebody an unemployed graduate. For graduates in South Africa who are not employed in the field of chemistry, and we found quite a number of them, large number, some of them with honors degrees in chemistry. We took them to the University of Pretoria for training in forensic toxicology, because we have got a very serious problem in our toxicology laboratory, where they serve three functions. For blood alcohol determination, which you know is a very big problem in our country. For toxicology analysis, and also for food analysis. We used to have very few analysts in that field. And these 70 have just qualified at the University of Pretoria. They were unemployed before. The DG has given them permanent jobs now in our forensic laboratory services. And so those people who are used to drinking and driving and believing that results won't come, they can now forget. There were only 3 forensic laboratories in the country. We are opening the 4th one in Durban. And DG, without agreeing with you and University of Pretoria, I'm in a position as a minister that I can just declare something that doesn't exist and insist that you must make it exist. So without discussing with the University of Pretoria and you, I want you to go and get some more interns in this field. We need more toxicologists. We need more toxicologists. And I believe some of these students can be taken up, even by Harvard, to be world-class toxicology analysts in this country. It's very important for that to happen to us. So it's against all this background that I feel elated and privileged today to launch the Albertina Sisulu Executive Leadership Program in Health, and look forward for this program to assist our country to make the difference in the future leadership in health required in South Africa. This ASELPH is a monument to a great, great South African. You know, yesterday, when we were debating the budget speech, a member of one of the opposition parties said something very impactful. In politics, you're not supposed to acknowledge your opponents and refer to something that they've said in glowing terms. You're not supposed to do that in politics, anywhere in the world. But I just want to make an exception today, put my political cap aside, and become an ordinary South African, because I agreed with him wholeheartedly. And I felt my anger swelling after what he said. He said, we must not be in a business of naming institutions under great, great leaders and allow them to be overwhelmed by mediocrity. These are not the real words he used, but it was something to that effect, if you can remember yesterday. I'm using my own words here. Name institutions after great, great leaders and allow them to wallow in mediocrity. It is a disservice to these great leaders. One thing for sure, it will make them turn in their graves, because we all know how Bantu education wanted to make black people in this country mediocre citizens. This morning I was listening to a program on ENCN about jobs, where they were asking experts whether it's true that foreigners, especially they were talking about Zimbabweans, are taking work away from South Africans. and the experts were saying, the problem is that the Zimbabweans have got lots of skills. They've got a very good education system, which South Africa doesn't have. And now, as I was listening, I realized that they are missing the point that it's not only Zimbabwe that has got a great education system, it's the whole of Africa. It's only us in South Africa who had this dreaded system of Bantu education, which people want to deny it happened, which people want to deny it affected us and is still affecting us up to this moment. And that's why they were showing the Zimbabweans with lots of education there as I was looking at that program. Now, these leaders, like Me Albertina Sisulu, spend their energies and most of their life fighting this Bantu education system. As you know what ANC did in 1954, when the Bantu education system was launched. They took it up and fought because they knew it was a mediocre system, which is going to destroy us for many decades to come. And there are people who believe that we've been in power for 20 years, we should have reversed it. When it destroys the nation within a period of 50 years, mercilessly. And as they say so, I also felt anger swelling in me. For when I was the MEC for Education in Limpopo, I discovered teachers with a teacher's course under the Bantu education system, but who never passed matric, and they still exist today. Now, these leaders fought with their lives and devoted their lives to fighting that system. They wanted excellence at all times. So, I believe this leadership program will represent that excellence and become a brand whereby when you mention the word ASELPH, people will feel excellence around them. Just like today, Professor Ishao, in South Africa, when you mention the word Harvard, everybody knows what it means. This brand must be built to that level. And for this reason, Professor Buch and Dr. Tom, I would like to give you a homework. Because these words which were said yesterday, I've actually said them before. Not in Parliament, I've actually said them before. In anger. In absolute anger. The issue of naming institutions after our great leaders and make them represent mediocrity. I've said it in anger, so that's why yesterday I felt anger swelling in me when this thing is mentioned by a member of the opposition, because I've been knowing it and I've been complaining about it. So today, now that we have got this leadership that will represent excellence, I'm asking the two of you, giving you a homework, and the DG is going to work with you on this homework. Yeah, it's very nice to be a minister. You just give instructions from the top there and keep quiet and step down. Yes, I'm giving you this instruction. Can we allow, as South Africans, the Nelson Mandela Central Hospital in Tata to wallow in mediocrity? Can we allow that? Can we allow the Kisani Baragwanath Hospital in Gauteng to wallow in mediocrity? Should we allow that as South Africans? Should we keep quiet? Can we allow the Charlotte Maxeke Academic Hospital to keep on emerging in the news for negative things? I know we won't allow Steve Biko Academic Hospital to do that. There are specific reasons that is not like that. It's one of those which are very well managed, I must say. It has got nothing to do with seeing people from Pretoria here. Maybe it's got something to do, that is my hospital of choice. Yes, when I'm sick, when my family is sick, we all go there, all of us. And I told them, none of them will ever enter a private hospital as long as I'm alive. They'll all go there and make sure that they get all their treatment there. We can't allow Nkosi Albert Lithuli in Durban to wallow in mediocrity. Fortunately, it also is not. It's been run very well, but we need to guard that very much. Can we allow the OR Tambo district of health in the Eastern Cape? I mentioned yesterday how I had to go there to meet the Executive Council. It's named after OR Tambo. Can we allow all these institutions to carry these big names and we get nothing out of them? That should not happen in this country. And so I'm asking you, this is a special homework. We must fight together that this doesn't happen. And in that way, when we say we've got Albertina Sulu Executive Leadership Program in health, we'll actually be meaning it. The young Sisulu's here. You won't allow your Gogo's name to be in vain. I'm sure you won't. So you'll stand up and also fight this battle with me. That all these institutions which carry great names, they must be as great as the names are. Then we'll be doing justice to our country. We'll be doing justice to this stalwarts. So I'm looking forward that this dream will become true. Thank you.
You know, we, of course, there are many other words that could be applied to the Minister of Health. Integrity, humility are some of the others. Minister, when I was sitting there, I was remembering when we were both much younger and how you used to drive from Jane Fur's Hospital in Sekakuniland to Tinswalo Hospital in Bushbuck Ridge when we started the NAMDA branch in what was then called the Northeastern Transvaal. And I must say the commitment and the passion that you had for health and for humanity and our people has not dimmed one bit since those days, nor have the values. And so I think it's really a great privilege for us to have both yourself and Dr. Gwen Ramokgopa back in health and leading health for the country. I think we missed you for many years when you had other deployments outside of our sector. And so, colleagues, we're going to break for tea now. What we're doing, if you'll excuse us, the Minister won't be there mingling at tea because we didn't want to kind of keep you sitting and waiting while there was a press conference and an opportunity. So what we'll do is the Minister and the Deputy Minister and the other VIPs and representatives of the partners, we would ask you to join the Minister at a press briefing, and we will offer you some tea during that as well in the one room, and the rest, for everyone else, there's tea downstairs. And then we'll reconvene at 11 o'clock, or should we say 11:05, just to allow a little bit more time. Because we felt that at our launch we wanted to use the opportunity of not just the presence of Professor Shao, as the Minister mentioned, but in his own humble way, he didn't mention that he himself will be part of the panel and presenting as well. And so we wanted to take the opportunity this morning to explore further into the concepts and strategies for national health insurance. And we thought that in the nature of a budget speech yesterday, only a few very broad, big picture messages can emerge. And so we thought we'd use today, the day after the budget speech, to dig a little deeper into the progress and prospects for our national health insurance system. And we'll invite you to join us for the panel discussion with Minister Motsoaledi, Professor Bill Shao, and Dr. Mbuyo Tom at 11:05. Thank you very much, all of you, for honoring us with your attendance this morning.